Welcome to day 8. We're going to do a couple of review problems for the test. So we'll need a separate sheet of paper out. To do this, you'll need your calculator out as well. So our first question, we've got a population of bacteria. It doubles every 12 minutes. So this goes back to our bacteria growth report that we did. So we'll have for our equation y equals, we started with 20 bacteria, so 20 times, it's doubling, so times 2. And then when you have a minutes equation, if it's doubling every 12 minutes, we're raised to the x over 12. Anytime you write an equation, tell what x and y represent right next to it. X in this case is minutes, y is our bacteria. How many bacteria are there after 39 minutes? We're going to round to the nearest bacteria. So I'd like you to pause the video, see if you can answer this part B. Once you hit play, a box will pop up for you to input your answer. So you should have subbed 39 in for x. So that's 20 times 2 to the 39 over 12. That should give us that y is equal to 190.27 and change. So to the nearest bacteria, we should have 190 bacteria. Make sure to have a label on your answer. Our next one, a car is bought for $3,000. The value depreciates by 7% each year. So to find your base value, if you are increasing or decreasing by a percent, start with 100%. Depreciating means going down, so we're going to subtract 7%. 100% minus 7% will give us 93%. Switch that to a decimal, that would be 0.93. So for our equation, we're going to have y equals, we started out with 30,000 times 0.93 raised to the x. Now for x, they did not give us a starting year, a calendar year, so we'll say just that x is years, and y is our value. So part B, we're going to have you find the value of the car after 12 years. So pause the video, put that in, round to the nearest cent because it's money, and a box will pop up for you to put in your answer. So we should have y equals 30,000 times 0.93 raised to the 12. That's going to give us 12,557.8889 and some other stuff. So to the nearest cent, we'll have 12,557.89. The dollar sign there is your label. So I'm going to need some more room for C, so I'm going to put it down below here. But we want to know during what year will the car be worth $15,000. So we're going to put 15,000 in for Y, because that was the value spot. We had 30,000 times 0.93 raised to the x. So we're going to start by dividing by 30,000. 15,000 divided by 30,000 will give us a half. So if we move over here, when we want to find x in an exponent, we got to do a log. The base of your exponent should always be the base of our log. So we're going to have log with a base of 0.93, and then inside will be the half. Now the x is by itself. That's what we wanted. So in our calculator, remember the log button is above the 10 to the x, right next to the 1. So do control and then do the log button. Put in your base of 0.93, put in your half, and we end up getting the x is 9.5513 and change. So we want to know during what year. X for us was just years, so this is during the 9th year. Now, if this was calendar years, like maybe say it started in 2020. Well, this would be 9.5 and change years later, so then we would say during 2029 sometime. Okay, a little over halfway through 2029. So if your X was years since a calendar year, make sure you put your answer in terms of calendar years. In this case, we did not have that. All right, last one for part B, or for question 2. We want to estimate the rate of change at 4 years. So when you do a rate of change, we always do that value and 0.01 later. So we're going to do 4 comma something, and we're going to do 4.01 comma that thing. So we're going to take our equation, our 30,000 times 0.93 to the x. We're going to sub in for the 4 and the 0.93, or the 4 and the 4.01, sorry. So for 4, we get 22441.5603. For this one, we get 22425.2802. And hopefully you're doing that along on your calculator as well. Because now when we want to do the slope, our change in y over change in x, make sure you're using the numbers all the way out. So scroll up and highlight them, hit enter to bring them down, and I would suggest doing the fraction button right from the start. So do your control divide first, and then bring stuff down. Do not round these prematurely. So if we punch that in our calculators, we should get negative 1628.008 and some other stuff. This one didn't tell us where to round, so we'll just leave it like that for now. Now let's first think about if a negative makes sense. Well, we were depreciating, so the value is going down, so a negative does make sense. And then we need units. It's always our y units per our x units. Well, our y units was the value, which was in dollars. Our x units was in years. So this is going to be dollars per year. So one last one we're going to look at. And I guess I should mention back here, anytime it's a percent that it's increasing or decreasing by, we should know it's exponential. Okay, the only difference is if you were growing by that percent, we would have added the 7% to 100% instead of subtracting it. So our next one, we've got the value of a house goes up $300 every year. If the house is bought for $200,000, find an equation to represent the situation. So if it's going up by the same amount always, that means it is linear. So we're going to have y equals 300x, positive 300 because it was going up. If it was going down by 300 every year, we would have had negative 300 in that slope spot. And then our y-intercept is just what we were starting with, the 200,000. When you write an equation, always tell what x and y represents. They did not give us a calendar year. If they did, let's say they had given us in the year 2005. So then we would have said x is years since 2005. but we didn't have that in this case, so we'll just have x as years, and y will be our value again. So we're gonna have you pause the video and do part A. So how much is it worth after 17 years? So go ahead, pause the video. After you've got that answer, hit play and a box will come up for you to put in your answer. So we should have put 17 in for x, and that would have given us $205,100. And your dollars is your label. And then we want to know during what year it'll be $210,000. So put your 210,000 in for y. And then we're going to solve for x. So we'll subtract the 200,000 over, and we'll get 10,000 equals 300x. If we divide that and do a control divide to make sure we get a decimal, we get 33.3 repeating. So that is sometime during the 33rd year. So our answer we would say during the 33rd year. If we had had a calendar year at the start, if our x had been, like we had said before, x is years since 2005, then we would have said that this would have happened during 2038, because that would be 33 years after 2005. So that's it for this video. Make sure you're studying for the test and have a great rest of your day.